Hello, and welcome to the 7th part of this series where we will learn how to set up our checkout. So let's get right into it. And first we have to do is we need to create a separate request for our checkout. So at the moment on our cart, we have 2 items, and we want to grab those 2 items, click on checkout, and then head over to our checkout URL. So the way this would work is that we need to create a separate request and asking Shopify that, hey, these are the 2 items that we have in cart. Could you please give us the checkout URL? And then once it's generated, our custom JavaScript code is going to help us head over to that checkout URL. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just grab any of these data requests here, duplicate this, and I'm going to rename this to create checkout. But the create checkout does not use admin API. It uses a different API. So it uses the storefront API. So we need to adjust our URL endpoint. I already have this on my notes, so I'm just going to copy it from there and paste this in. So you'll notice we have API. And then we also need to change our access token. So if we scroll down to our headers here, so instead of Shopify access token, we need to change this to storefront access token. I already have the token on me as well, so I'm just going to go ahead and paste that in as well. So for those of you wondering how can you access this token, you need to head over to Shopify and then go over to settings, and then head into apps and sales channel, click on develop apps. Over here you see you'll find both your admin API and storefront API settings here. So we want to get the storefront API and then head over to API credentials. Over here you'll be able to get access to your API access token. So yeah, you would just copy that and then paste it in Wized. All right, and now for the body, we need to paste in our checkout body here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and replace this with our new body. So over here, we are basically grabbing the items from the cart, and this is basically stored in our checkout items variable. We created this variable on the last tutorial, although I didn't actually explain what the functionality is for this variable here. We're going to find out right now. And then we basically, so from this variable, we grab the product variant ID, and then based off of that, we create the checkout URL. And that's essentially what this entire thing does. So we're going to go ahead and click on done. So now we can see that our response, this is called, our response is labeled as 9. So what I'm going to do is head over to our code sandbox, and I'm going to walk you through our checkout.js file, because I just need to walk you through as to how the checkout.js actually works in conjunction with Wized. So what it does is basically it first has a add event listener attached to the checkout button. So whenever you click the checkout button, we already have this attribute attached to our checkout button. So whenever you click on the checkout button, it immediately executes our create checkout, the request that we have just created right now. And then it grabs the checkout URL from that request, and it redirects the user to that checkout URL. So because our data path, our data request is labeled as 9, so I'm going to change that to 9 and make sure that it grabs the appropriate data path. Also, you'll notice that we have a set variable of checkout items. So let me walk you through that real quick. But before I do, I need to save the JavaScript file so that nothing breaks. Okay, now I'm going to head over to my data store here and explain what's happening. So I'm just going to reload this page real quick. I was testing this previously, so that's why you see previous data here. Okay, so again, to recap, whenever you add something to the cart, the custom JavaScript grabs the value from current product details and then stores it into local storage. Once that item is securely saved into the local storage, the custom JavaScript extracts the product ID and then stores it inside cart IDs in the form of an array. So at the moment, you'll notice that we have two cart items. That's why you'll notice that our variable cart IDs have two items inside it. And that's the product ID of these two items. Now, based on so that's how the cart IDs work. The checkout items works exactly the same, but instead of product IDs, it stores product variant IDs, and it only stores that whenever you click on checkout. So it works something like this: you click on checkout, the first action is it grabs the product variant ID from these two items and stores it inside checkout items. Once that is successful, it then executes the request of create checkout. Once create checkout request is executed successfully, it grabs the URL and then redirects the user to the checkout page. So because we're currently inside of Wized, we won't be able to test this out completely. What we're going to do is jump into the live preview. And okay, I already have this product in cart. I'm going to go ahead and add another product as well. Wait for this to load up. Okay, let's add this product to our cart. Let's adjust our quantity here. And now if I click on checkout, let's wait and see what happens. Perfect, it works beautifully. So we have both our items here with atrocious amount of quantity for each, but yeah, the checkout works. Okay, so let's head over to Wized here, and let's test this out here as well. So as soon as I click on checkout, you need to keep an eye on checkout items here. There we go. So obviously our checkout URL is not going to be generated because we're inside of Wized. So yeah, that's how our checkout works. So what I'm going to do is reload this page. I think it's not going to work, so I need to reload this entire page. Okay, and what I'm going to do is head over to shop. Just click on any product here, doesn't matter which one. We do have one task that's left, and that is when you click here, you'll notice that we have this loader. So we just need to make sure that the loader icon only executes when the create checkout is requesting. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to put this inside the cart folder. So I'm going to call it checkout loader visibility. Checkout loader and set visibility. So obviously our data request is labeled as number 9. There we go. So we want to make sure its requesting is set to true, and only then it should be visible. All right, so let's check it out. Okay, perfect. It works beautifully. And that brings us to the end of this tutorial. Now, finally, you know how to set up your shop, you know how to create your cart and your checkout. So pretty much you know the core stuff of building a Shopify headless store inside of WEBFLOW and Wized. Now, we're going to wrap this up here, and I will see you on the next one where we will be learning how to set up our blog page.